Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrysanthon, and today I have a pleasure of chatting with my friend Jordan Brown, who is the Director of Sales and Marketing at Graham Hart Home Builder. Welcome to the show, Jordan. I'm so excited to have our conversation today.
Well, thank you, Ani. It's so good to see you again.
Let's start with the big one. So obviously you made a huge splash at this past IBS in Orlando and that you were named Sales Manager or Leader of the Year at the NAHB Nationals. So congratulations to you on that. It's definitely one of the most respected honors in this industry, and you compete against so many great nominees that it's a tough competition. I know that. So, what was that moment like for you when you were named? Was it a surprise? Did you see it coming? So, take us back to that moment.
Yeah, sure. Well, very humbling. Let me start with that. I hold so many people in such high esteem who have won this designation before in the past, and a lot of them I'm grateful to be able to call friends as well. And so, grateful, humbled, and quite frankly, proud of myself too. There's a lot of hard work that goes into that, and leading up to a moment that's like that. And so, again, exciting, nerve-wracking, all of the different things because you put a lot of pressure on yourself to try to perform and deliver for your team and people who are relying on you. And so it's just a really neat culmination.
Amazing and so well deserved. And so, when you think back to that, can you talk a little bit about what do you think actually set your leadership apart? What got you there? What did judges see that was different about you?
Yeah. Well, I'll take a step back. And I've said this a million times. I believe very much in compassionate leadership, servant leadership. I'm here for my team. I really want to get to know my sales team and their families and their why. At Graham Hart, we say, how do we help others achieve, whether it's internal employees or it's our own homeowners who are looking to move into their dream home. And that's really held to high esteem here at our company. But about 3 years ago, when I started with the company, Graham Hart Home Builder had been in the industry for 30 years. And so we've had the opportunity over the last 3 years to really make an impact and scale up. And I've had the opportunity to help build up a community count, grow the team and the culture here at the company. And we've seen some really great returns on our investments along the way when it comes to being able to dive into product and designing new product for the company. I've been lucky to have my hand in a lot of that. And it was a big growing experience for me and had a lot of fun with it along the way. So, with the submission for the Sales Manager and Leader of the Year, I would imagine the judges, seeing what our team has achieved over the last 3 years together and growing the way that we have, it's been exciting to watch.
Well, it's very humble of you. So, and I love how you say compassionate leadership. That is something that I think takes a lot of emotional intelligence to realize that people want to follow somebody who is compassionate, not somebody who's just a boss man. So it's a huge change, I think, from a few decades ago, how leadership was, what people thought about a good leader versus what it is now. I'm also very fortunate to work in a company where I feel the same way about my leader. And it makes such a difference when you know that you can come to them with something. And if
Yeah.
something's not going maybe perfectly, you can actually talk to them about it, not feel like they're going to judge and blame. Kudos to you for that. I'm sure your team really, really appreciates that style of leadership for sure.
Thank you.
And Jordan, you were just in sunny San Diego at the Jeff Shore Sales and Marketing Leadership Summit. So, what was your experience like there? I know you've come for many, many years now. And is there any particular takeaway from that summit that you've already implemented with your team?
Yeah, well, first off, being spoiled in sunny San Diego, I mean, there's not a lot of places that are much better. And so that was a lot of fun being able to spend a few days out there. But really, I see it as a huge homecoming, right? I've been able to go now. I think this was year 6 that I've been able to go and enjoy the Sales and Marketing Summit and get to see a whole bunch of my friends who were in the space and meet a whole bunch of new people and just get to catch up. You surround yourself being in this industry, in the leadership realm, with a lot of folks who are just tremendous at what they do. And, if you're smart, you soak as much up as you can as a sponge and you learn. And you learn from their life experiences and everything that they bring to the table, not to mention everything that the Shore Consulting team brings. And they bring it, they deliver. Every single year I live there with an entire notebook of just copious amounts of notes and eager to get back to my sales team and executive team to be able to talk about what we went through. And so a trip like that, even just in 72 hours, can change the entire trajectory of what the next quarter for your company looks like with initiatives that you can roll out. And it really just gets the creative juices flowing.
Absolutely. So is there anything in particular you're like, oh, I love that piece of takeaway, or is there anything that you're like, ah, we got to implement that, or maybe I didn't think about this
Yeah.
before?
There's a couple of things, but one, I know for the folks who were there, they're going to agree with me on this. The ideology between, hey, a lot of folks are saying there's no urgency in this marketplace. And the argument is, hey, it's not a lack of urgency, it's a lack of confidence. And what are you going to do, you being the sales consultant out in the field, to instill that confidence in the prospect who's maybe in your model home looking for some reassurance on, hey, this is what I want to do. My family dynamic has changed, or there's a thorn in my side with the existing property that I'm at, and it just doesn't meet our needs anymore as a family. And my family is telling me that this is the right time to buy, fill in the blank with all the different things that are really fear based. And what are you going to do as a sales consultant to show up as they're walking in and instill that confidence for them? Obviously, listen, figure out what their triggers are, what is the most important thing for them to be able to change their life for the better and help them pair with it so they don't really turn into their own worst enemy and decide not to do something when they could have in the first place.
Right. Yeah, you're so right. Confidence is transferable, right?
Yeah.
It is confidence that as a salesperson, you need to exude confidence, even if you're not feeling confident sometimes. And like you said, maybe it's the bad market, maybe your community location sucks, maybe you have the wires, like God knows what, right? There's all these obstacles that there's no perfect time, no perfect
Mhm.
community to buy a home, but it's your job as a sales rep to be confident in your product, to be excited about your product, and to transfer that confidence onto your buyers to help them make the best possible decision. So I absolutely agree with you. Now, Jordan, you did mention that it's your sixth time going back to the Jeff Shore Sales and Marketing Leadership Summit, and you're part of that Shore Consulting alumni circle now. So can you talk to us? How has that really shaped you personally as a leader, as a person? And then if somebody's listening to this and they're like, yeah, I heard it's a lot of money. I don't know if now is the best time to invest that kind of money. What would you tell them?
I mean, there's no better time to invest in yourself and your personal progress and your growth than now. Who else is going to invest in you? Sometimes it's pretty lonely out there. And especially in tougher times where companies are saying, hey, we need to reel back on the budgets. Again, that's kind of fear-based actions where it's, hey, we don't know what the market's going to hold for us. I would argue that the other way to look at that is, hey, how much ROI am I going to bring home from being in the same space as leaders who have been doing this for 20 to 30 years? Doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you're going to learn something from another incredibly assertive, dynamic leader who's out there in the space, absolutely crushing it in their own marketplace. And you have the ability to be in small groups, a lot of whom have turned into my own personal friends. I'm on a text thread, and we text with 5 different sales leaders in my space that I've known now for 6 years every single day, multiple times a day. Hey, what's going on in your market? I haven't seen this. Have you ever dealt with this before? How would you tackle this? And so being able to surround yourself with those types of personalities who are number one, high achievement drive, they're tackling and they're going after their own personal objectives on what they want to secure for their own future. And there's something super energetic about being in a room full of people like that, where they pour into you the confidence in everything that you're looking for to be able to take home and take to your team out in the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just invaluable to be able to reach out to somebody like that and just be like, "Hey, I'm dealing with this.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this?" Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Now, let's back things up a little bit because we typically like to start on this podcast with your life story. So, Give it to
Okay.
us. Tell
Oh
us,
my gosh.
how did you get into home building? What your path has been like, and how did you end up as a director of sales and marketing?
Oh man. Okay, let's back it up. So I'm going to try to give you the Cliff Notes version as much as I can here. I call it a happy accident. I moved to Texas for college, went to Texas Christian University. Go Frogs. And when I was graduating, I thought I was going to get into sales and marketing to some extent, but not sure what I was going to do. And I signed up for a whole bunch of different interviews, one of which was Pulte Homes at the time. This was 2005, heavily recruiting out of colleges around my local area. And I signed up for it not knowing what it was, just saying, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to learn the different interviewing questions, learn the dynamic of an interview, and get comfortable in that sense. And one thing led to another, and I became fascinated with it. They saw apparently potential in this kid coming straight out of college and landed a role with Pulte Homes as a sales and training. Fast forwarding 15 years in the sales chair, working for multiple big national builders, really grew and enjoyed and became passionate about the industry and really started wanting to soak up as much as I could, not just in my own discipline, but along the way, construction, land development, land acquisition, purchasing, estimating, how you create product and what feels right for the market dynamic or the buyer profile that's in your community, selfishly for my own success as a sales consultant. At the time, I had an opportunity when I was with Hovnanian Homes to grow and take an opportunity as an area sales manager. I had a team, and it was such an interesting shift because you go from, okay, live and die by the edge of my own sword. I want to sell as many homes as I can and provide for my family. And now that mental shift is, okay, how do I find success for my salespeople, right? Be a servant leader and make sure that they're learning all the ins and outs because there's certain things that you can be taught. There's other things that you just have to learn along the way from life experience. And the opportunity to partner with them in role play and coaching and continuous education. I'm a huge believer in continuous education, hence going to things like the Sales and Marketing Summit where you're always growing, right? And so I just felt like that was my calling and that's what I really enjoyed. And so when the call came with an opportunity to jump over to Graham Hart Home Builder, full transparency, it was a very tough decision because I loved working with the people that I was with. We're still great friends to today. And so it was a hard decision, but one of the best I ever made for myself because in a 3 year period, the exposure that I got to everything that I really wanted to learn on a different level being involved with a smaller company is tough. You wear a lot of hats, but you're also forced into a whole bunch of situations where you learn and everything's on your plate and you're drinking through a fire hose and learning marketing, strategic relationships, things that I had never done before were now right in front of me. And so I had an opportunity to tackle that. So long story long, that's kind of the growth pattern on where I came from. And I met my wife out here, Becca, who has been along the journey with me. We have three kiddos, all girls. Even our dogs are girls. And so surrounded by all the ladies and love it, wouldn't have it any other way.
Awesome. Love that. So you mentioned that was like a shift. You've traditionally been in an individual role. You know what you're going to sell, you know what you're going to make, but now you have to lead this team of sales professionals and marketers. So talk to me about what are you leading with right now, especially for your sales team, as far as coaching goes? What are you concentrating on right now in this market, and what conversations are you having with your team?
Well, someone that I look up to, her name is Rhonda Conger. Everyone knows her, everyone loves
Yeah.
her. She said, I believe it was her quote, someone asked her, what do you think about the market right now? And her answer is always the same. It's, I love the market because it's the only one I got, right?
Mhm.
And that's the thought process on, hey, you're going to have ebb and flow in the marketplace. You've been doing this long enough. You're going to see different cycles on what's going on out there. Now, not every cycle is the same, right? There's different indicators that are happening out there, but the thing that's constant, that needs to stay constant, is your headspace and your mindset on where you're at and what you're going to do to provide value to the prospect who happens to be in front of you at that moment, right? And then after they've left your office, assuming you didn't close the sale that day, which that still happens, by the way, How are you going to follow up with them? And what are you going to do to create that drip campaign and personal cadence of communication that they need from you and that they're going to be relying on to make the right decision for their family? And so, to dial it back a little bit, our focus really is what are you going to do right now not to self destruct, not to become your own worst enemy and self sabotage when it comes to the feedback that you're digesting on a daily basis. And this can be all the way down to, hey, what Instagram pages do you follow? Who are your friends and your confidants? Are they right energy that you need to surround yourself with? It's an opportunity to make your what should be a tight circle even that much tighter and to just say, hey, this is who I'm going to be, being very conscientious of the energy that you put out because you have people that are looking up to you and saying, if the boat is rocking right now, how is our sales leader and above executive management, how are they going to react? Because if you come across as clear, transparent, this is how we're going to move forward and all run in the same direction together, then you have the confidence of your team. I would argue your authenticity at this point in time is more important than ever to really just say, hey, this is who I am, this is where we're going to go as a company, and we're all going to invest in ourselves.
Love that. The mindset is definitely the number one thing for sales team. It's like it doesn't
Mm.
matter what the market is doing or not doing. It all comes back to your mindset. It's your only limit to what you can achieve. The belief system again that we talked about earlier. You lead both sales and marketing team at Graham Hart Home Builder. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about the builder. Who do you guys build for? Where do you build? What kind of product? Has it always been that sales and marketing role was together? Is that a role that you wanted to unify under one umbrella versus keeping them separate? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Let's unpack it. So, Sean Goff, he is our owner and founder. He established the company back in 1995 after working for his dad for a number of years. So, you've got a heritage and a legacy of custom and luxury construction, local here to Dallas Fort Worth, now at over 31 years. And from the time of inception to 3 years ago, the company was really focusing on build on your own lot, luxury custom construction, renovations. There was a lot of that. To the tune of $1 million to $3 million or so was the sweet spot of Graham Hart Home Builder. Fast forward to 3 years ago, Sean said, hey, I'd really like to expand with our division president at the time. And how do we go about doing that? And so the thought was, let's scale up by introducing home designs, get into communities with other competition, and scale up the production home building side of the business while maintaining your luxury and custom. And so that was the way that we were able to find and grow from when I onboarded at 5 communities. Just in 18 months, we had scaled to 12 communities. A lot of work went into that, right? Being able to create product lines and fairways of your 40s, 50s, 60s, and all of your different types of home designs and lineups that the developers here in Dallas Fort Worth offer. There are a lot of builders out here. I want to say 485 builders or so just in Dallas Fort Worth. And so there's a little bit of competition, and you need to identify yourself on who you want to be. And so there was a deep look inward on, well, okay, Graham Hart Home Builder, who do we want to be in this space, right? So the company really has been running at the direction of, listen, we want to be distinct. We want to provide elevated experiences for our homeowners. We do want to provide some flexibility and customization or flexibility in the ability to grow and design your home with certain palettes that maybe some builders in our space don't allow. And so that's one way to build out a USP and differentiate ourselves from the other folks that are out there. And so when I onboarded, full transparency here, it was a lot of learning because up until that point, I had worked for large builders who they had it together. They had complete marketing departments from a national to a local level, well budgeted, with strategic partnerships that had been in place for a really long time. And Graham Hart Home Builder, it was, hey, we don't know what we don't know, but we sure as heck we're going to learn, right? And so being able to leverage relationships with all of my friends in the industry, hey, who do you utilize? Who does a bang up job on this need and this need and this need. And just being able to sit down for a couple of months and interview and have great conversations with partners in the marketplace, identifying, oh, okay, we align, this works, pricing's in line, I see the value add for your company partnering with Graham Hart Home Builder. Let's go after it. And so, in a very short amount of time, we were able to build up this stable of relationships that didn't exist beforehand to really start building out a trajectory for the company that has really grown over the last 3 years. And so it's been a lot of fun to experience. Sometimes I feel like it looks like I have it all together, but of course, my feet are just spinning underneath the water or under the table. And that's such an exciting feeling. You put yourself purposefully in a level of eustress, so growth that you are trying to find. And it's not comfortable sometimes, but you sure learn a lot along the way.
I can sure relate to that. Working for a small company, you got to wear lots of different hats, and yeah, you got to figure it out and figure it out quick. So, with that shift in your product, what are you seeing in the market now, and how has your buyer profile and what they expect changed over, say, the last year or two? I know you already
Sure.
mentioned that confidence is a big part of it, but talk to me more about that. What are you seeing as far as buyers and their expectations?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you ask because at Graham Hart Home Builder, we have a pretty wide, diverse portfolio of plans. We start on the mid to high 300s. We're currently building a custom home to the tune of $4 million for someone on a build on your own lot right now. And so, very wide, diverse buyer profile that's out there that my sales team gets the opportunity to work with. And so, depends on the community. Obviously, everything is just so community and market dependent. But we've seen the need and the ability to run toward a little bit of flexibility when it comes to allowing our homeowners to get more involved with the design process to an extent, right? I would argue, limitations to you should probably set if you are going to have differentiation between production scale and luxury and custom. But we've seen our average sales price across Dallas Fort Worth currently sitting at about 740. And those folks who are north of 700 to 800 really do appreciate they have the ability to design the home that they want to be in. They've got the budget for the options that they want to have inside their home. They may be downsizing from something, but they still definitely want the finishes that they have maybe grown to know and love. And so we have the ability to partner with them to do that. And we've built a bit of a legacy to where we'll have folks walking off the street into our corporate office and say, hey, I've seen you guys online, or we have a family member or friend who built with Graham Hart Home Builder or saw something online and it sounds like we align ourselves pretty well with y'all. Let's have a conversation. And it's really refreshing to get that feedback from people because it makes my heart smile. Hey, we're doing something right. We're getting some recognition for all this hard work that we're putting into the product and the design elements that we're serving out to the crowd. And so we see that end of it. But again, to my point, Anya, is we also have the communities that are, okay, hey, we're going to live in the north 300s, maybe the low 400s, and we need to help our homeowners achieve from, you hear the word affordability quite a bit, and that brings on definitions. But is it payment sensitive? Is it something that we can partner them with one of our preferred lenders to help them get their DTIs in alignment? There's so many other ways to provide value than just throw an incentive at somebody. Hey, let me have you talk to our preferred lender. Oh, and by the way, before you do that, has someone cared enough to run payments for you? I can do that for you right here on the spot, just to give you some clarity on if we're the right builder for you. And
Mhm.
so to be able to find what's important to them, to be able to dig into the hot buttons and what's important to that family, and then run that direction with them. It's neat to see the light bulb click on and say, oh my gosh, this may be the home. That's a very powerful moment that you get to experience with your potential homeowner and that you get to carry with yourself as a sales consultant from taking them from start all the way to keys on the finish line at the closing table.
Oh, for sure. So it sounds like for you guys, it's a little bit of flexibility, figuring out what that little thing that you can give, not necessarily financially, but maybe it's with customizations of the home or something else that's important for them, and working with the client, right? So it's one-on-one, really coming back to understanding what the needs of the customer are before you just throw money at them or incentives.
Yeah,
So.
the last thing I would mention too is being able to stay relevant. So, working at a company, it's extremely important to be able to pivot if you need to. So you can stay up with whether it's interior design trends, architectural styling trends with your home designs. You never want to be the last person to find out that your home designs are irrelevant or your finishes on the inside of the house, because then you are going to be turning a ship that's going to take way too long to get out in front of it again. And so, having partnerships with those that you really trust to give you guidance on saying, yes, we're doing the right thing, and listening to your buyer base. Everyone's sending out surveys. Yes, tens are important. Yes, willingness to recommend. But how granular are you getting with the questions that you're asking your homeowners? And number two, are you actually listening to the feedback that you get from the field and your teams in the field? And are you asking for that feedback? And I think that's pretty telling in itself.
Yeah, 100%. Survey, survey, survey early and often, right? So it's not a surprise to you at the end of the day when they give you a bad rating. Hopefully, those are the things that you're aware of and you can
Yeah.
change it. So the more you survey, the more frequent, the better off you're going to be with that. Now, you mentioned that you work with really diverse buyer group, right? You guys are going from mid 300s to 4 million plus custom homes. So,
Mhm.
how much of your buyer's journey is happening online? And maybe it's different for different segments that you work with. And has that changed what you expect your salespeople in that first conversation? Like when they're actually walking through the model home and seeing you in person for the first time?
Yes, that's a great question. The answer is it has changed drastically. Our homeowners are finding us on their couch at 9 p.m. at night, surfing the internet, looking at Reddit, looking at Google reviews, asking Claude and Chat GPT, hey, talk to me about the top 10 builders who are in this space. Or, hey, tell me about Graham Hart Home Builder. What's the good? What's the bad? What's the ugly? And they're already formulating opinions based on third party testimonial, how you project yourselves as a builder through your website, through your Meta and Google ads, and really everything that you're creating, out there before they even take a step into your office. And so when someone hops onto our website, fills out a web lead, it comes to our sales team, it starts there, and is really, really arguably it starts well before that. But to focus on the sales team for a moment, those first discovery questions that you're asking can make all the difference in the world. Hey, how'd you find us? What specifically brought you into the model home? Is there anything that I really need to know up front that is going to save us some time to really help you out find the home that you're looking for? When I'm responsible for this marketing budget that I have and we're throwing money at different levers to bring in leads, I just need to be responsible for how we're spending that money. So, two things. How are we bringing in leads? How's the marketing department doing that? And also, how's the sales consultant out in the field bringing in their own leads? Because I certainly have that expectation. If you go on to social media, Instagram, Facebook, we have all of the different platforms for Graham Hart Home Builder. I also encourage our sales team to have their own personal branded channels linked to Graham Hart, and you'll see us. We have a lot of fun. It's not all only business and professional. We lean into some of the fun, goofy videos that we'll put out there on social media. I think our best performing quick video that we did was literally, it was just snippets of me screwing up lines and tripping over myself. And it was a compilation of a video that went viral in a sense, and it was just me acting stupid.
It's humbling, isn't it? You spend
No,
so much time on a damn video to look polished, and then it's the bloopers that goes
no
viral.
surprise on you, right? Yeah. There's no room for ego in this space, right? It's everyone's having a good time and we're all here for the same reason, is to work with the families and get them in the door. But there are expectations of the sales team. I always say I am supportive, and quite frankly, a form of support is holding people accountable. And hey, if we're all going to be leaning into and agreeing, hey, we're going to do social media. Yes, You hate being in front of the camera, but you're going to do it anyway. You're going to follow up in CRM. You're going to put in notes. No, it's not a micromanagement tool. It is for you to be able to look at and formulate and craft better follow up to make sure that it's not just a, hey, have you thought about how you're going to move forward? Be very, very cognizant on how that message is going to be received on the other end. And so it's that thinking, be intentional with how you're going to be on the sales floor and how we're going to be perceived as a home builder who's out there.
Yeah, great points. And I'm glad you say that you do expect your team to generate their own leads and that you
Hmm.
hold them accountable to have an online presence. It's crazy how many people that are salespeople still have private Facebook and Instagram account. And it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You got to tell the world, right? Like,
Visibility is important, right? And how you come across is extremely important. And gone are the days where people are just going to be walking into the model homes and you can just sit and wait for people to show up. If that's how you act, you probably need to find another profession at this point. And so if you're not going to maneuver and grow and get rid of the, well, I've never had to do that before, so I'm not going to start now. You're going to get left in the dust.
yeah, absolutely. Speaking of people not walking through the model home anymore, they're doing a lot of that shopping, initial shopping process
Mhm.
online. So, full disclosure, Graham Hart is an Inugo client, and you guys use our virtual tours. So, talk to me a little bit about how the virtual tours actually fit into your sales process, and has that changed what the in-person visit looks like? Are buyers walking in and you feel like they're further along? You mentioned earlier that if somebody leaves the model home and they didn't close them yet.
Mhm.
So, is the expectation that when they come to the model home, they're far enough that they should be closing them because they've done all this homework ahead of time?
Yeah, as long as you as the builder provide enough assets to be able to help them along. Our one of our most recent projects with Inugo, we're doing interior staging, interior visualization, 3D walkthroughs with one of our really beautiful luxury custom homes. And just the ability to have that segment where, hey, you can turn the lights on, you can turn them off. You can showcase walking through the home at night or during the daytime? How does that live? How does that feel? From a spatial planning stage, some of that is going to be extremely important to homeowners, especially if they're trying to move away from a home that no longer fits their spatial needs. You need to be able to have that dynamic for them to really touch, feel, and experience. And so being able to provide that up front during construction and not having to get your sales team in the rhythm of thinking this is very much a leash of thinking, hey, we're not going to sell that home until the home is complete because the homeowner can't visualize what it feels like to be in that home anymore. Well, no, I disagree 100% because you have virtual staging, you have all of these different assets that they can utilize. And again, just because they're not in your sales model and you're not working with them does not mean that they are not at home experiencing it for themselves all through the website. And that experience is very dictated based on what you're doing and how you have it set up in a third party experience, website and otherwise.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. In fact, we have a client who is in Canada, and they typically, with the weather there, they would pour foundations in the late fall, and that's it. The work would be halted, and they wouldn't be able to sell anything until the spring when they are able to start putting the house
Hmm.
together. And once they started working with us with virtual tours, they sold all of their homes before spring, where people could
Mm,
virtually tour it, right? And as you
sure.
said, it's not just like you're looking at a virtual house. They do offer different options to see what that looks like if is an office versus a dining room, whatever you're like in the evening. What does that look like in the morning with different options so that it makes it so much easier for somebody to say yes to you because you are really reducing that risk. And we've talked about confidence today. And one of the best ways to increase somebody's confidence is not to talk to them about it, but to show them, right? Show me, right? That's where the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So the more you can utilize visualization tools, the more your buyers will feel confident in moving forward and the less
Yeah.
convincing you'll need to do as a salesperson.
Well, and there's another side of this too, Anya, as well, is as a sales leader, if I have the ability to better predict and forecast that we're not going to have a whole bunch of inventory or showcase homes sitting complete, dragging down margin erosion and interest carry, and I have the ability to turn a home, let's say it sells at seconds inspection or right before sheetrock install, and I have the ability to sell and start another showcase home, you are now building out your pipeline in a much more effective manner and also establishing even flow with your closings. If you talk to any executive, you're just speaking their love language at that point, just doing really great things for the company.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. Better predictability, I mean, it just makes sense. Now, of course, I we can't move on from technology without talking about AI briefly. So where do you stand on AI right now? How do you feel about it? What are you using? Like, what are you watching? What are your feelings towards it, really?
Yeah, sure. So ChatGPT, Claude, I lean into all of that. Our company does just in general anyway. Just there are so many ways to utilize it outside of just crafting an email or a social media post, but doing some recon on who you are as a builder and eliminating maybe some bias that you have as who you think you are versus who the market might suggest you are as a builder. And so, point in case, to be able to say, hey, listen, from this standpoint in this community and in this town, if we were to come to market with this type of product, would that hit the nail on the head? Or over here, what are the top trending interior design styles that are coming out and how can we stay out ahead of the curve? You're not going to get 100% of your answers, but at least you're going to be able to clue into, okay, I feel really good about this being the direction that we're going. And either saying, yes, this is a great move, or, oh, okay, this is a little contradictory to who we thought or what we thought we were going to be doing from a pricing or a product strategy standpoint. Big believer in that type of stuff and utilizing and leaning into AI from that realm.
Absolutely. I mean, just like any other tool, right? Why not use
Yeah.
a tool that makes your life so much easier? For me as a marketer, it's fantastic how much more I'm able to accomplish with this tool. But again, it's just another tool. So
Yeah.
people have very strong feelings sometimes about AI. Obviously, we do have to be careful, and hopefully, our policymakers will keep an eye out for some
Hmm.
of the developments, but I think overall it's just like any other tool. And if you have an ability to improve your work and improve the quality of your work and accomplish more, then why not, right? It just makes sense.
Agreed.
Now, Jordan, what's next for you? What's next for Graham Hart Home Builder? Is there anything particularly you're looking for towards in 2026? Any exciting
Yeah.
news coming up for you guys?
Sure. So we one of our short-term goals is we want to be on the Builder 200 list. And so we have the ability and the trajectory to make that happen with land acquisition and kind of where we're going in future projects. It's exciting to see communities that are building up, grand opening, and a builder of our stature, we have the ability to self-develop, but we also have the opportunity to jump into the mix and compete with some of the larger regional or national builders in master plan communities. And so that's really the next step. We are really working feverishly behind the scenes to make sure that, hey, we can establish a foundation of the right plan set, the right product, the right building specifications. We have the right team in place because right now we're approaching 100 closings and you can get into this hole where it's really hard to come out the other side of it from a personnel standpoint and how many bodies it takes. You have to work just so efficiently to be able to make that happen and be conscientious of your and just make smart decisions. So yeah, that's what's out on the horizon for us.
Sounds like you guys have a great plan, and I'm sure where you have a great plan, you can execute. We'll be looking out for you guys and cheering along the way. Now, Jordan, if somebody wants to learn more about Graham Hart Homes, or if somebody wants to connect with you personally, where do
Mhm.
you hang out online and where can people learn more about you guys?
Yeah, so let's start with the company. Check us out at grahamhart.com. And then we have our own LinkedIn pages, social media. Just Google Graham Hart, you'll find us out there. Yeah, I'm very much on LinkedIn, so look me up, send me a message. I'm all over the place. And so would love to connect. I'm a big believer in mentorship and new friendships and just making sure that we all pour into each other out there. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. Would love to meet you.
Love that. And I will link all of that information in the show notes so you guys can easily find more information on that. And then, as far as travel, conferences, is there anything that's on the horizon for you through the end of 2026 where people can potentially see you in person?
Yeah, so coming off the tail end of the Sales and Marketing Summit, I have a little bit of downtime, which is much appreciated. There's been a lot of travel lately, but I'll be speaking with Kevin Weitzel for the Builder Marketing Summit in Dallas in September, late September. I want to say that's September 23rd and 24th. And so I get to do that with Blue Tangerine and Outhouse. And then, of course, the International Builder Show, which is like the Super Bowl that everyone looks forward to. Looking forward to seeing you, I'm sure, there, Anya, and a lot of
Yes,
familiar
I'll be
faces.
there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys, if you're going to be at those conferences, again, I'll link the information so you can check it out. And I certainly look forward to seeing you at IBS in Vegas, baby. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really, really love hearing your story. I remember the first time you and I met, I think it was in Vegas actually, where
Yeah,
you
you're
had
right.
walked in the room where I was presenting and with Chris Hartley, and he had introduced us for the first time. And it's so nice to see how your mentorship with Chris, and now you're kind of like passing the baton and taking on that role for somebody else now. So I just love that about home building industry. Like you said, so many people that you met at Jeff Shore's, now your dearest friends. And that's exactly how I feel about a lot of people in this industry. And it's a big kumbaya. So if you guys have never been to IBS, you got to go to International Builder Show, especially now that it's going to be in Vegas for the next few years. So check it
Yeah.
out. And Jordan, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, Anya. My pleasure.
Talk to you soon, my friend. Bye.